Welcome to the Juggling Mind and Money podcast with Steve Rowe and Jessica Schlupp-Taylor. Steve Rowe is the founder of Lucent Financial Planning and an award-winning independent financial planner. He helps you to use your money and have a great life. Jess Schlupp-Taylor is a psychologist supporting people through change, challenges, and forks in the road of life. Together, they will help unblock the sludge in your mind, stopping you from achieving financial and psychological happiness.
So, welcome to episode 44 of Juggling Mind and Money. And this, for the first time ever, is just me, Steve Rowe, financial planner at Lucent Financial Planning, all on my own. This is mainly due to holidays and things. I and Jess are away at different times and we needed to get an episode out. So this, ladies and gentlemen, listeners to JM&M, Juggling Mind and Money, today we are talking about goals, objectives, what you want to achieve with your life and how financial planning helps you to do that. I hope you enjoy it.
I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
That was Martin Luther King. Sadly, Martin Luther King's goal has not been fully achieved yet, and he didn't see any progress as he died shortly afterwards. Similarly, my dream of being able to do good impressions of people has also not been fully resolved yet. However, here's to a next one. This is JFK. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. You thought that was Elon Musk, didn't you? Nope, this is a visionary that unites people instead of dividing them. It was John F. Kennedy in 1962, and that goal was achieved in 1969. Now, I move on to a speech by Steve Jobs in 2005 at a Stanford graduation ceremony. I can't do an impression of Steve Jobs. He's just got a normal American accent, so I'm going to try that. I naively chose the college that was most expensive, almost as expensive as Stanford, and all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life and no idea how college was going to help me out. And here I was spending all of my money my parents have saved their entire life, so I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on ones that looked interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it, and much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography, what makes it beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this I had any hope or any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, and we designed it all in the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped out into that single course in college, that Mac would never have had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would never have dropped into this calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to somehow trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. Today, we're going to talk about, if you haven't guessed already, goals. One of the biggest misconceptions about financial planning is that it's about money. It isn't. Money matters, of course. Investments matter, pensions matter, tax matters, but these are not the destination. They're just the vehicle. The destination is the life somebody wants to live. Great financial planners do not start with money. They start with people. They start with understanding what makes someone's life meaningful, exciting, fulfilling, and worthwhile. The money simply helps to make it all possible. And this is why goals and objectives sit at the heart of financial planning. Financial planning is fundamentally about helping people use their resources to support the lives they choose to live. Not someone else's life, your life. Why goals matter. Imagine someone comes to you in a meeting and say, I want a better investment return. Sounds pretty normal. That happens quite a lot. That's why people come to us in the first place, because that's what they think is important. But why? What happens if they get a better return? Who actually cares in the end? Because you're all going to end up dead and leave money behind, probably. What difference does it actually make? Maybe they'll be able to retire sooner. Maybe they can spend more time with children, grandchildren, anyone they love. Maybe they can travel the world. Maybe they can reduce stress and sleep better at night. You see, the return on the investment isn't the goal. The life outcome is the goal. What are you going to get from having more money? That's the point of it. The same applies to paying less tax, consolidating pensions, reducing charges, increasing savings, growing investment. These aren't goals. These are just tools. They're planning tools to help you get to where you want to be. It's a bit like a hammer isn't the purpose of building a home, is it? It's the house, so you can live in it and have a nice, comfortable life. The hammer is simply one of the tools we use to build it. Likewise, paying less tax is not usually a life ambition. It's something you might want, but solely so you've got more money yourself, so you can go and do what you want to do. It's simply one way of creating more resources for something that generally matters to you. So the real question here is, it's our job. What do you want to do with your money? The real question is, what do you want your money to do for you? That's another JFK quote, isn't it? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So what do you want your money to do for you? The subtle change transforms the entire conversation, because now we're talking about life. Not pensions, not ISAs, none of that rubbish, not percentages, not portfolios, your life. And guess what? It's the only one you're getting. So how do we uncover goals? So this is a big challenge, because a lot of people, most people I'd argue, don't have a list of goals of things they really want to achieve. And they turn up with us and we start talking about this. And they're just asking, I want to reduce tax. No one ever says, I've carefully considered all my values and purpose and prepared a list of meaningful life objectives. No one does that, because no one sits there thinking about it. You might think, oh, do some daydreaming, something like that, but you're not doing it in such a structured way. Most people arrive saying things like, I think I should do something with my pension. I need some tax advice. I've got some money sitting in the bank. What should I do with it? Can I retire? These are symptoms. They're not goals. And the skill of us, hopefully, all financial planners should be in curiosity. In fact, some of the best goal discovery questions don't mention money at all. They're questions like, what is important about money to you? What does success financially look like for you? If money wasn't a concern, how would you live your life? What would make today's meeting a success? And these questions start uncovering the values that sit underneath the finances. One technique that some people use is the 5 levels of why. So someone might say, I want to retire when I'm 60. Why is that? Because 60 is a round number. Because I don't want to work anymore. What's the reason you don't want to work anymore? Why? Because I'm tired of the pressure. Why are you tired of the pressure? Pressure's for tires. Because I spend all my time working and none with my family. Well, why is that important? Because I don't want to look back and realise I missed my children's lives growing up. So now we're somewhere meaningful, aren't we? You want to retire so you can spend some time with your children, because we're all getting old. They're going to be grown up soon. You might pop your clogs. This is important. So the goal isn't retirement at 60. It's spending more time with the people you love. Retirement is just one possible solution. So now we get to the point where we help clients visualize the future. Imagine. That's one of my favorite phrases around the offices. Imagine. Right? Imagine what you could do. So we try to help people imagine the futures they haven't yet been able to articulate themselves. Many people have never been given permission to think deeply about what they actually want for life, from their life. Why is that? Because most people, most of the time, are caught up with a daily routine and they're doing stuff for other people. They've got responsibilities, whether that's children, employers, whoever it is. Most of their life is made up trying to help those. So what I try and do is say, right, imagine, let's paint a picture. You said you wanted to travel. Tell me where. They may then reply, the Maldives. So I say, okay, well, how would you get there? Describe the scene to me. And then they might say, well, landing on a water plane near an island and getting a boat over to the place they're staying. And when you first arrive, what would you do? And then they might describe, oh, we'll go for a drink in the bar, relax, flirt with the barman, perhaps. I might say, well, is he hot? What does he look like? Sometimes clients' goals are only discovered when you're having a chat. So if the objective is travel, what does it actually look like? That's very different for lots of people. And you need to put yourself in that picture of your own dream and imagine it, because that way it becomes a lot more real and a lot more exciting for you to want to go and actually do something. So I hope you all stopped for 5 minutes there and just had a thought and went, actually, what are my dreams? What would it look like to me? If I achieved it, how would I feel? Ask yourself those kind of questions, and you might get to a point where you've got a goal that you actually want to do. You might ask those questions and it might get to the point where you don't want to do them. But either's good, right? Because you've ticked one off. So as a planner, we try and act like a tour guide, helping people to explore their own future. And financial planning often starts with the numbers, but the best planning, believe you me, starts with imagination. Understanding clients' vision, aspirations, and future possibilities is a core element of the planning. Imagine. Now, this is one of my favourite questions. I love it. Steve's magic wand. Okay. Imagine I had a magic wand and could solve every financial concern overnight. What would your life look like then? The answer to this often reveals far more than a fact find. People don't describe ISAs, they don't describe pension wrappers, they describe travelling more, working less, helping family, feeling secure, feeling less anxious, having adventures, starting businesses, in doing something they love, supporting charities, living with freedom, doing what you want when you want to do it and who you want to do it with. And that there, my friends, that is your financial plan. And we need to use your money to get those things for you. You might not be able to achieve all of them. It's not always possible, but we can do your priorities, get you there. And hopefully, if you can make some trade-offs, you might be able to get them all. Now, let's be realistic about this. Even if you've got a well-articulated list of dreams and goals, not everybody is going to be able to have those, are they? Just like Steve Jobs says, sometimes you need to go with what you think's best and give yourself choice for the future. So this is where it gets interesting, I reckon. Goals are important, but also goals can be overrated. They can become your purpose for living, and that purpose might not be that great, because actually getting down and doing it could actually be really hard and not give you the rewards you want to. So sometimes us as financial planners, we do talk as if everybody should have a detailed 30-year master plan. You absolutely shouldn't. Real life doesn't work like that. It isn't a straight line. You are going to change. Look back 10 years ago and think about the person you were then, what you wanted, and I'll bet it's different to what it is now. I'll bet you're probably 50% different person. Okay. You will change. Circumstances around you will change. There might be opportunities that you never thought you'd be able to gain that present themselves that you then grab with both hands, that totally change your life. Unexpected events, bad stuff can happen, not just in the world, but in your personal life. And us as financial planners, we need to recognize that life is full of these things that you cannot plan for and you don't know that are going to happen. And what you need to think is you want choice. If you've got money to be able to take those opportunities or put right some events that have gone badly, you are in a much better position. And that is a perfectly good goal. That is, as Steve Jobs says, connecting the dots. So think about your own life, right? How many of the best things that have happened were planned years in advance? I bet there aren't that many, right? Your partner, you didn't plan to meet them years in advance. You might have wanted one, but it wasn't the specific person you ended up with. Was it a career opportunity? So in my own life, I didn't plan to set up a financial planning business. I didn't plan to be a financial planner. I just did a good story about motivating people with pork scratchings in an interview with Norwich Union, and that's how I ended up doing it. Is it a friendship, a business idea, or a chance encounter? Many of life's great moments are uninvited, unexpected. So I'm going to say something now, which might be controversial, but that's our role. Too much planning can be the thief of joy, right? There's a wonderful danger in becoming obsessed with optimization. People can spend so much time planning their future that they forget to enjoy the present. Financial planners sometimes meet clients who are saving everything. They're not spending hardly anything at all. They're delaying their happiness. Oh, I'll do it next year, 5 years, 10 years time. They're waiting for retirement, hanging on till that day when they can do whatever they want. But they might already have enough money. And the purpose of money isn't to die with the largest amount in the bank account. What is the point? It's to live a good life and enjoy yourself on the way. Life is very much a journey. It isn't a destination. So one of my favorite messages for clients is don't sacrifice today's happiness unnecessarily for a tomorrow you may never have. The ideal financial plan balances future security, present enjoyment, not one or the other, both. You have to have one eye on each of them. So some clients genuinely don't have goals, and that's all right. Most people don't. Some of the most interesting people, like Steve Jobs, didn't have goals, but they took opportunities and they did things that they enjoyed. So they had fun along the way. And some of those things became useful. So not everyone dreams of climbing Everest or sailing around the world. Most, I would say, just want freedom, flexibility, security, and options. And that is all still super useful, because when those opportunities arrive, if you've got options, if you've got choice, you can grab them or ignore them and do the next thing. So instead of fixed goals, I would like you to think about a direction. How are we generally going? What are we trying to do? So imagine setting off on a walk. You might not know the exact direction or the exact destination, but you know you'd like to head that way, more or less. And along the way, you might take different paths. Life can be similar, right? Be ready to jump in with both feet to get the good opportunities as they arrive. So we would help as a financial planner to establish a direction, even if a precise destination isn't clear. So what people who do have set goals, what I've often experienced is we might diligently set up a saving plan. Say it was for a holiday home, for example. They want to buy a holiday home, and we set up a plan so they've got enough money to do that. But guess what? In 5 years' time, they might not like that area where they wanted to buy a house anymore. They second home stamp duty might have been introduced, and then they get the ick about that a bit. They might not fancy that area anymore because something's changed about it, or they've just had enough of visiting it. So I would say well over half the time when we're saving for specific things and planning certain things, they do not happen. And that, as we've said before, is because you change. You will change. So what does great financially planning actually look like? It helps you understand where you are today financially, explores what matters most to you, and imagine possible futures. It helps you make informed choices and use money intentionally rather than just seeing it rack up in investment funds or pensions or savings accounts when you've got no clear idea of what you're going to do with it. And it helps you stay flexible as life changes. So I think what's important here is to understand is there's only a few uses for money. You can spend it now or you can spend it later, or you're never going to be able to spend it because you've died, right? What can you use that for? You can spend it on things for yourself. You can spend it on doing things, so memories and experiences, or you can give it to other people so they can have a better life by spending it on things, spending it on memories, or just making things easier for them. That can be people you love or charities, whatever it might be. Okay, so ultimately, what does financial planning give you? It gives you something far more value than investment returns, than portfolio compositions, than asset classes. All that stuff, it's important, but it's a tool. Financial planning gives you clarity. It gives you confidence over what could happen. And importantly, it gives you choice. So people, here's a few things I want you to remember from today's session. People do not actually want pensions. They don't want ISAs. They don't want tax planning. They don't even want investment returns. You want what those things allow those people to do. And our profession as financial planning isn't really in the money business. It's in the people business. The best financial planners become students of human behaviors, human values, and human aspirations. Because once you understand what somebody truly wants from life, the numbers become a hell of a lot easier. So go out there, everyone, think of what you want to do, try stuff out, if you don't know what you want to do, and see where life takes you. And you know what? Enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say, it would be really appreciated if you could leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, or even on YouTube if you're watching it. Just say how great this is. Give us 5 stars, because it helps boost us up the ranking and hopefully get what I might consider good content out to the masses. Okay. We are increasing quite a lot in listenerships actually recently. So that's great. But a few reviews will be awesome, and we can read them out and maybe mention your name if you let us. Goodbye.